Hello and welcome to Kingston Now. I'm Jimmy Buff. This week we have Zoe Dunn and Beth Benson from Hale Advisors, who were just named Business of the Year by the YWCA. We have Jennifer Halpern from the Ulster County Dispute Resolution Center, and we start with Vanessa Shelmandine of the Hudson Valley LGBTQ Center. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
So you were one of our first guests on this show a little over 2 years ago, and at the time we were talking about an interesting thing in the LGBTQ community, which was that some of the older members were going into assisted living homes after having been out in a much more tolerant society in recent years, and then going back into a situation where the people who they were concerned about when they were before they came out were now their neighbors. How is that situation going?
Well, there's progress being made, certainly. The community center has been working with all kinds of organizations and healthcare centers that provide assisted living facilities to increase the level of understanding, the increase in respect, and really so staff and administrators are on board saying, if you don't make it explicit that this place is safe for everyone, that this place is going to be appreciative and understanding what it means to be gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, unless that's made explicit, people are left to guess. And when we're guessing about whether it's safe or not safe, whether we're going to find respect or maybe rejection on some level, then it's left us to be uncomfortable and really fearful. And I remember our presenter that was with us 2 years ago was Ted Hayes, who's now 82. And he's still out there advocating and representing the community. And he was involved in a training that we did with the Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley. We had a number of staff do a training on LGBT older adults. And they took that information and they really ran with it. They had us come to Mountainside, which is up in Margaretville, and had some staff from Margaretville Hospital there, and continued to do all staff training and changed policies and created more visibility by bringing in literature and films and guest speakers. They've done so much work in that amount of time that they're now one of the only long-term care facilities in the United States that's listed in the Human Rights Campaign Healthcare Equality Index. So that's a long title, but what it says is when we're reviewing nationally hospitals, long-term care facilities, et cetera, to say, are you inclusive? Are you affirming of your LGBTQ patients and residents? Mountainside Health Alliance Hospital, well on its way to be included in that list.
Now, in the past couple of years, marriage equality has really picked up momentum. Marriage equality, same-sex marriage is now available in 14 states in the District of Columbia. From the outside, it looks like the situation, the circumstances for LGBTQ people is starting to really be acknowledged as it should be.
Yeah, in a decade's worth of time, I think we've gone from where national studies say 60% of the general populace thinks, no to same-sex marriage. And 40% is saying, yes, I think that that's a right that everybody should have. And in 10 years' time, that's really changed. And so it seems that many more people understand why love is love, why people of the same sex should be able to marry just as people of the opposite sex, why LGBTQ kids, as they are identifying for themselves who they are, should receive support in their families, should have support at school, should have role models, should have activities that celebrate gay and lesbian culture, like Pride in June, and October is actually National Coming Out Month, and in November it's Transgender Remembrance Month. So more and more people are recognizing that folks in the LGBTQ community deserve to be affirmed for who they are. It takes a courage to come out. It takes a courage to express yourself in a world where there has been a long history of intolerance.
Now you have a theme this year at the center. Can you tell me about that?
Justice for All is the theme for 2013 and to 2014. We are doing a survey with community members all across the Hudson Valley. The survey can be accessed on our website, lgbtqcenter.org, and it's called the Justice Survey. We're getting input from people if they've had experience with law enforcement in the past 5 years, from a speeding ticket, a broken tail light and you've gotten pulled over, if there's been a domestic violence incident, if there's been an anti-bias incident of some kind. what's the interaction been like? Has it been positive? Has it been less than positive? What can you inform us about? Because we're doing training now with law enforcement in the Hudson Valley. We're starting here in Kingston, actually, with the Kingston Police Department. We're going to pilot the training program there. And we want law enforcement to feel informed, understanding of LGBTQ people and what their unique challenges might be when interacting with law enforcement, and really change the perception that law enforcement is not friendly to the LGBTQ community.
You've got a couple cool events coming up too. You've got the first walk for the center happening.
Yeah, November is packed with activities. So on Sunday, November 10th, the center and all of our supporters and allies and anyone in the area is welcome to join us. We're going to do a 1-mile walk for Pride. So we'll start at the Strand at the end of Broadway down there at the waterfront. And we're going to do a loop. And it's a nice, flat, easy walk. It's going to be fun. You can wear your rainbow gear. You come out with pride, you know. You can bring your dogs. It's family friendly. You can bring your children, of course. And it's really a celebration that we have all of this visibility growing here. We have all this support for the community. People don't have to do their process of coming out and making their way alone. We have a community here, and a very well supported community. So we want to come out, register at 10:30 that morning, or register in advance online or at the center, and ask for support. Ask for some financial support from friends and family. This is a fundraiser to support the programs that the center offers to our community. We do cultural competency training all over the place. I referenced hospitals, schools, law enforcement. We run all kinds of groups for everybody, including families and allies. And we are just a resource all the time. Our phone is ringing and we're getting visits at the center, and we need financial support to continue to keep doing these kind of services and programs. And so we invite people to get some financial support, some sponsors, and come and walk with pride.
Terrific. Well, it sounds like a great event, and we appreciate you coming. Yeah, it's going to be fun. That's the other thing. It's going to be fun, right? And we appreciate you coming back and giving us the updates.
Thank you.
Thanks. You're watching Kingston Now. Next up is Jennifer Halpern of the Ulster County Dispute Resolution Center. Welcome back to Kingston Now. Joining us is Jennifer Halpern of the Ulster County Dispute Resolution Center. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
So the Dispute Resolution Center is a mediation service. Is it a public or private service?
It is a public service. It's open to the entire community, and it is a nonprofit. So our mediators who serve in the courts charge absolutely nothing at the time of the court. And if you have a mediation that occurs in our offices through the community, there's a small administrative fee. But our mediators are entirely volunteer, and our costs are extremely low.
About 20 years ago, I was living in New York City, and I had a shared alleyway with the person with the house on the next street, and he didn't think I should be able to park my car in the alleyway, and he ended up puncturing a tire of mine. And instead of, when we called the police, they sent us to a dispute resolution mediation service like yours, and we were able to resolve it without having to go through the court system. That's such a huge value.
That's exactly the sort of case that we have all the time, and it's so important to us to be able to serve people who have disputes that could potentially destroy relationships, make living with your neighbor impossible. But what we can do is help resolve the issue and maintain the relationship at the same time. Sometimes, Jimmy, it's just not just about the money. Sometimes it's about something underlying the issue.
Sure, yeah. What other kind of disputes do you see at the Resolution Center?
Well, we have a lot of landlord-tenant issues that come up. We have small claims of all sorts, so property damage like yours. We also deal with elder mediation. We have parent and teen conflicts from time to time, and we have specially trained people to deal with that. We do special, we have a custody and visitation type mediations as well. We also do employee-employer kinds of problems.
These are all the issues that people have in their lives, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And in addition, we have some very special programs where we hold the contract for dealing with special education mediation, which is becoming more and more of an issue for parents and
that's
their
often
children's
because
schools.
parents think their children deserve services and the school district says, no, you're not eligible. Is that correct?
It might be that, or it might be that the parent wants something a little different than the school is able to offer. And often it's just, bringing the two sides together to understand what each one really needs and what's really available.
Now, a lot of people are most familiar with mediation as it relates to divorce because, you hear about that more. Is that something the center works with too?
Yes, we offer a divorce mediation program, but that is a separate and fee-for-service program. It doesn't come under my direction.
Mm-hmm. And again, the fee though is probably going to be less than involving a lawyer for each side and can be done hopefully with a lot less of the rancor that happens in a divorce situation.
Generally speaking, the costs are frequently less than involving the lawyers, but the level of rancor is definitely much less.
And is that binding? Because sometimes you hear, occasionally you hear, you'll hear a lawyer on TV or on the radio saying that mediation isn't binding. Is that binding?
Mediation, a mediated agreement is in fact binding. As soon as the agreement is formed, that agreement gets sent to the judge sends it, turns it into an order, and that order is in fact binding.
And how is the center staffed? Where are the people who are the mediators coming from?
Well, there are two issues here. One is that, first of all, the Ulster County Dispute Resolution Center is part of a wider group of 4 counties: Orange, Sullivan, Ulster, and Putnam. And so we are part of a larger group. But all the organizations, all the counties work the same way. We have volunteer mediators, and we recruit them from the community. We have retired teachers, and we have retired lawyers and working lawyers. We have currently working mediators who are with us, business folks who want to do something to give back to their community. Our volunteers are just these amazing people. They have a 32-hour basic training course that they do. We're offering another one starting in January, in fact, so if anyone wants to join us, we're more than happy to talk to you about it. And after the 32-hour training, there are about 6 co-mediations and 6 observations, or rather 6 observations and 6 co-mediations that people do. And when they're ready to go out on their own, for us, we then assign them cases, and then they become mentors to the new generation of volunteers.
It must be really satisfying to see 2 people come in with a dispute who at just walking through the door shows a willingness to resolve the dispute, I would assume.
Absolutely, and the intake part, which is one of my jobs, is very key to that, because sometimes people are very resistant.
Yeah, they're entrenched, right?
Right, to trying mediation, and they think, well, my communication skills are great, and this person just won't listen to me, and so I try to explain that when 2 people are explaining their situation to a neutral person, then all of a sudden you hear things differently, and the mediator is a trained guide to help you listen to each other. So it's a whole new experience, and usually most of the battle is getting people to come to the table.
Well, terrific. It's a great service, and we're glad you're providing it. Thanks.
Great.
Thanks for being here. This is Kingston Now. Next, we meet Zoe Dunn and Beth Benson of Hale Advisors, who were just named Business of the Year by the YWCA. You're watching Kingston Now. Joining us is Zoe Dunn and Beth Benson of Hale Advisors, who were just named Business of the Year by the YWCA. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What is Hale Advisors, and who do you serve? What does your company do, and how did you guys meet?
I'll let you start.
I'll start. So Beth and I met many years ago, actually, working in the same industry, which is marketing and communications, digital marketing and communications, mainly for healthcare and the pharmaceutical industry. So we met, we crossed paths. Beth was working for the pharmaceutical side, and I was working on the agency and consulting side. So we kind of knew each other over the years. And then we decided to join forces about 2.5 years ago now. We figured 1 + 1 is 3. It's always nice to have a business partner that you can collaborate with. And so what we do is digital marketing and communications for healthcare. A lot of our clients are pharmaceutical companies based in New Jersey, Philadelphia, East Coast corridor. We have a few mid-country and West Coast clients. And so that's it. That's what we do every day.
So the YWCA award is not for the work that you're doing, the business work you're doing in this community. It's that you're a business in the community and you're giving back to the community, Beth.
So when Zoe and I put this business together, because we both live here locally, I think for both of us, one of the areas of frustration always has been is working with clients all around the country and in other parts, and neither one of us were able to be involved in our community. So we came together and we formed a big part of the formation of this business was talking about how we could be involved locally and use our skills within the community. And because we're a women-owned business, we wanted to make sure that we were focusing on girls and women type issues and helping empower them within our community. So the YWCA, we met with them last December. One of the needs that they had was they needed to help with their marketing to some extent, specifically a program for Girls Inc. We also got involved with a global program that was 1 Billion Rising. We ran that within Ulster County, which then led to a Natalie Merchant concert shelter, which raised funds for both the Ulster County and the Dutchess County domestic violence shelter. And then we just worked with the church organizations out in Woodstock to bring Girls Rising to the Hudson Valley Mall. That was on October 11th.
Now that was a film, right?
Yeah, that was the film. That was also a national effort where you had to bring in X number of people in order to have the film show locally.
And what was the content of the film?
It was showing empowering stories of girls around the world, focusing on education and why education is so important. What was impressive with it was the fact that we needed 100 people to bring that film to Kingston, and we ended up with over 200, heading towards 250 of people in attendance that night.
So at least 100 people had to pledge to buy a ticket. Is that how that works? Uh-huh.
And we everybody was questioning, will we be able to get the 100? And then we doubled that and actually had to work with Regal Cinemas to get a larger theater to be able to show that evening.
It was a great film.
Yeah.
So in between your real work, which is what you do for a living, how do you find time to do things like 1 Billion Rising, which was an extraordinary event back in May?
Yeah, thanks. Great question. It's a challenge. I mean, I think this is something that's also very interesting to Beth and I is how do we promote women's empowerment in business, women's empowerment in getting to do what they want to do in the world. Girl Rising was a lot about how important it is to make sure that girls get an education. It's important to the fabric of our society. It's important to our economy that girls get educated because an educated girl is a huge contributor back to our local and global economy. So Beth and I, we wrestle with that. We question how can you really have it all as a woman who is a business owner. We both have families with young children. We're both active in the community and have lots of friends and, social engagements. And it is a challenge, Jimmy. It's a constant balancing act,
But I think the key piece of that is that it was core to the business that we were forming.
Absolutely.
So we find a way of making it happen, and we have an amazing staff.
Yeah.
So, it's much more than Zoe and I.
That's true.
We're kind of like the protagonists that get these things started, but it's the staff that actually executes on most of these.
Yeah, and not only core to the business that you formed, but also core to who you two are.
Right.
So as women in business, what is, there certainly has been progress made for women in business, but there still is, like, for instance, income disparity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, we laugh. It's funny. The pharmaceutical industry, which we do a lot of work with, has a lot of women who actually over the years, it's a very male-dominated industry. It always traditionally was, but it's so inspiring to see so many women who have risen to executive positions in the industry. And, I feel like they're really paving the way. There was an article in the New York Times about girls in science a couple weeks ago. And, what a shame it is that girls are not, even by other women, female scientists scientists are not even prone to hire other female scientists. They'd offer the job to a male, applicant as priority instead. And it's interesting. It's not just, I don't think we can say anymore that feminism is in the eyes of, women against men. Feminism is within women too. We need to empower each other, and I think that's a challenge. We need to make sure that we are lifting each other up, and that was a lot of what 1 Billion Rising, I think, was about for Beth and I. It's really trying to help other women in the community feel like they had some strength underneath them, some empowerment.
Terrific. Well, you guys are doing great work within the community, and we appreciate you coming by and telling us about it, and we look forward to see what you do next year.
Great.
We
Thank
do too.
you.
That's it for this week's show. Thanks to Vanessa Shellman-Dine of the HV LGBTQ Center. Find out more about their events at lgbtq.org. Thanks to Jennifer Halpern of the Ulster County Dispute Resolution Center. Learn more about them at drcsservices.org. And for more about Hale Advisors, visit haleadvice.com. Remember, all of our previous shows are available on the Kingston Now YouTube channel, and you can find that link on our Facebook page. For Kingston Now, I'm Jimmy Buff. We'll see you next time.